Hadley's Dream by Swenson. In a small town lived a young girl named Hadley. Hadley was the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Swen, who thought the world of her. Little Miss Hadley was tall for her age, had dark brown curly hair, and was very shy. She was in her 8th grade year at Dual High. Hadley really looked up to her dad. He was her hero. Mr. Swen worked at the local college and coached the women's basketball team there. Hadley more than ever wanted to become the best basketball player anyone has ever seen. Sometimes Mr. Swen would bring Hadley over to his practices. Hadley learned a lot by watching those girls practice. She watched how they passed the ball and stayed low in their stances. She became to know the game very well for her age. While at her father's practices, she'd be on the side court shooting and working on her ball handling. The girls on the college team always treated her with respect and shared their stories of hard work and what they had to do in order to get there. Hadley enjoyed going to practices with her dad, but she also really enjoyed shooting baskets in their front yard with Mr. Swen. Hadley's dad always had good advice to share while they would play. As Hadley grew older, she began to understand more of the life lessons he was teaching while using basketball as a reference to it. Hadley always in return would talk about her dreams and goals. Hadley's father always told her he would support her no matter what. Even if she didn't become the best basketball player in the world, she would have gained so much for putting in the hard work and effort. In order to do so, Hadley's father continually told her that she had to put in a lot of work and practice. He told her that it would pay off for you someday. Determined, Hadley continued to go to the gym every day and worked on her game. One day at school, while in class, Hadley remembered she'd left her chapstick in her locker and asked the teacher if she could go retrieve it. As she was passing out the locker, she saw the empty gym and decided it wouldn't hurt to shoot a few baskets. Ah, the feeling of being in the gym. It was her favorite place to be. As Hadley was shooting, she wished that she could be on the varsity team. She started to pretend she was in actual game time situations. Hadley Swen with the ball at the top of the key, she states. With only 5 seconds left, she fakes right and takes the left-handed layup, and it's good! Hadley Swen wins the game! While Hadley continued to shoot, a loud voice screamed, "Aren't you supposed to be in class, young lady?" "Why, yes, Miss Leslie," she replied in a frightened whisper. Miss Leslie was a short, blonde-haired woman who was the most intimidating lady in the school. "See me today after school and get to class," she said. Hadley was so worried what her father might think knowing she had skipped class that day. When the last bell rang for school to be over, Hadley made her way to Mrs. Leslie's office. Hadley knocked on the door and Miss Leslie replied with, "Come in." Hadley still thinking how disappointed her father will be as she entered the room with her head down. As Hadley sat down, Mrs. Leslie asked, "I'd like you to practice with the varsity today. I watched you in the gym, and I think you have potential." Hadley couldn't believe it. She thought to herself, "Me playing on the varsity? I can't wait to tell Dad." That night while eating supper with the family, she told her family the great news. Hadley's dad was really proud of her and told her that she can do anything she put her mind to. Hadley's first day of practice was just the start of her problems. Since she was the youngest on the team, the other girls picked on her a lot. But in her mind, she kept thinking of her father's words and worked harder and harder than anyone else on the team. Some days were harder than others. Sometimes Hadley wanted to quit because it was a lot more work than she thought it was going to be, being on the varsity. These girls are much taller and stronger than I am, she thought to herself. But Hadley kept at it, knowing she had a goal to accomplish. Hadley had dedicated all her spare time to basketball. Before and after practice, she found time to have a basketball in her hands. She wasn't going to give up on her dream. Finally, Hadley got her first big break when one of her teammates got hurt, and Coach Leslie decided to put her in the game. With only a minute left in the game, Hadley stole the ball and scored a layup on the other end. The crowd cheered and went wild, but they were still down by 1. 10 seconds left when the other team put a shot up and missed. One of Hadley's teammates got the rebound and passed it up the court to Hadley. 5 seconds left and Hadley had the ball. Here was Hadley's big moment. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, shots up, and it's good! Hadley had just hit the winning shot. Hadley's father came running down the court and lifted her into the air. "What have I always told you? Working hard does pay off." Hadley continued to play varsity, and then college, and then even played in the WNBA. She chased her dream, became the best basketball player she could be. Hadley here, reminding you to never give up on your dream. Until next time, the end.